This month's theme is practical wisdom. And today's topic is, but first, choose peace. You know, I always go back through the titles of talks that I've done since I've been here. Actually, I go back through the titles of talks that I did before I came here. So I don't repeat myself, because you deserve better than that. And I found in all the years that I've been here, gosh, it's a long time now, Kim, that I've been here. I've only spoken about peace specifically as a theme for a whole month, one other time. And yet I talk about it, think about it, speak my word in treatment about it all the time. So I thought, I need to amp this up. You may be hearing about it more often in the future, because that's a part of doing what you believe, saying what you believe, taking action on what you believe. So what I've been talking about this month is practical wisdom in a variety of ways. And maybe it seems that this talk, Choosing Peace, should have been on the first week of the series rather than the last. And I thought so too when I started putting these talks together for the month, practicing love in each deed that we perform, recognizing that God is always available in us, is what enables us to realize that in each instance of our life, we are demanding God, but in a quiet and loving and respectful way, and that we are expressing practical wisdom in the deeds that we perform. So what I recognized is that God's always available in us, and that's what enables us to realize that in each instance in our lives, we must clothe that in the cloth of peace. There are numerous definitions for the word peace, beginning with freedom from disturbance, tranquility, calmness, freedom from interference, serenity, composure, ease, contentment, security, joy, order, harmony, goodwill. A lot of really positive words there. And peace can also mean a period in which there is no war, as in respite, lull, or ceasefire. But this last definition to me sounds like a temporary pause, rather than something to be initiated and continued. It also sounds like the definition that most people would understand and agree with if you ask them to define peace. So I've chosen today to focus on the other 13 definitions that I found. Freedom from disturbance, tranquility, calmness, freedom from interference, serenity, composure, ease, contentment, security, joy, harmony, order, goodwill. Thich Nhat Hanh, which may be a familiar name to you, wrote a book titled Peace is Every Step. Thich Nhat Hanh was a Buddhist monk born in Vietnam. And he saw peace as the path of mindfulness in everyday life. He believed that peace, as the book is titled, is in every step we take. In our rush in modern times, our modern lifestyles, if you will, we tend to lose touch with the peace that is available in every moment. Yet Thich Nhat Hanh believed that we can use those everyday activities as signals to call us back to our true selves, to the path of mindfulness, that process of keeping our consciousness alive to our present now experience. And you often hear Us in Science of Mind refer to that as being or staying in the now moment. And in fact, Thich Nhat Hanh believed that the most profound satisfactions, the deepest feelings of joy and completeness, lie as close at hand as our own next aware breath and the smile that we can form in every moment. Many people are aware of the world's suffering, and their hearts are filled with compassion about that. They know what needs to be done, and they engage in political, social, and environmental work to try and change things. Unfortunately, though, after a period of intense involvement, many become discouraged because they lack the strength needed to sustain a life of action like that. Real strength, though, is not in power, in money, or in weapons, or even in teaching. Real strength is developing and maintaining deep inner peace. And the monk suggests that perhaps we need to wage peace. You know, you hear people talk all the time about waging war. How about waging peace? By practicing mindfulness in every moment of our daily lives, we can first cultivate our own peace. With clarity, determination, and patience, which he calls the fruits of meditation, by the way, we can sustain a life of action and be real instruments of peace. One of the many beauties about the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh is that he sees the giving power of every living being. When we want to understand something, he says, we cannot just stand outside and observe it. We have to enter into it deeply and be one with it, which sounds a bit like commitment, doesn't it? In Buddhism, they call that non-duality. How about that? That's a familiar phrase. Remember how Ernest Holmes talks about the allness of God, always available to us? Same thing. So one of the things that we become one with the allness of spirit and all it creates is to practice the art of mindful living. Most of us are pretty mindful of our bodies and how we must treat them so that they function well for us. Now, think for a moment what is outside of our bodies that is of equal importance in our lives. For example, look at the sun and the immense light that it provides. If it were to stop shining, the flow of our lives would also stop. Thich Nhat Hanh calls the sun our second heart, an immense heart that gives all life on the earth the warmth necessary to exist. Plants must have it, and animals must have plants to survive. Another example of what is outside our bodies that is of equal importance to our lives is water. Like the life-sustaining blood that flows through our bodies, the waters of the world flow through it. And its health and purity, that is the world, is essential in order to sustain plants, animals, and us. Many people move here to the islands in order to experience a kinder, gentler life. They also choose to grow fruits and vegetables for their own consumption, and sometimes to share with others. And there is a mindfulness piece to this, too. Peace, spelled P-I-E-C-E, as in a part of. And peace, spelled P-E-A-C-E, meaning as in experiencing the joy and the harmony of life in its production. But there's another part of our connection with food. Thich Nhat Hanh calls it nourishing awareness. He suggests that as you prepare to enjoy your food, that you take a moment to be mindful and aware of its fragrance and its appetizing look. Be mindful of the many hands that brought it to your table, and the sun and the water that fed it. And then take just a moment to affirm that all spiritual beings having a human experience can and do receive these same gifts. You see where he's going with this? That as you put it into mind, into your mind, into the universal mind, it goes out into the universal consciousness. And while that may seem like such a small effort on your part, on behalf of millions who don't yet enjoy that, it's better than no effort at all. And by sharing and promoting that idea with your family, with your friends, your neighbors, and other acquaintances, it becomes a powerful message to today's world. Whatever we put into mind and word keeps on going on. So far, this talk has been about practicing peace in the microcosm, defined as a community, a place, or a situation that's regarded as encapsulating in miniature the characteristic qualities or features of something much larger. So now let's talk about the something much larger, which is called the macrocosm, the whole of a complex structure, especially the world or the universe. How many times have you heard me say, what you think about comes about? And, or, when you put your attention on what you don't want or agree with, you energize it. And then you just get more of it, meaning the negative that you don't want, instead of what you do want. Well, I'm still saying it. Now the question is, what are you saying? Meaning, not just us in this room, but in our families, in our communities, on our island, in our state, in our country. Peace is based on respect for life, the spirit of reverence of life. And it takes expanding enlightenment on the part of each individual to bring about those changes. So as we consciously practice mindfulness, develop a deeper sense of calm, peace, and a clear vision of that worldwide, we are contributing to its growth and expansion. Whenever possible, avoid reactionary behavior by taking time to reframe that with a positive presence. That's being part of the solution as opposed to being part of the problem. Whenever I talk about peace, I must also include thoughts, words, and deeds of Peace Pilgrim. And I know many of you are familiar with this book. And if you're not, come to our World Peace Meditation on the night before New Year's Eve, because I always talk about her there. Some of you have heard some of what I have to share this morning here, or in class, or in that annual meditation. But to others of you, this may be new. Either way, it's so valuable to visit or to revisit. By definition, a pilgrim is a person who journeys to a sacred place for religious reasons, or who may be a devotee, a believer, a traveler, or a way-shower. Peace Pilgrim defined her pilgrimage as a gentle journey of prayer and example. My walking, she said, is first of all a prayer for peace. If you give your life as a prayer, you intensify the prayer by all measure. Peace Pilgrim was born in 1908 in the United States, and from 1951 to 1981, which is when she made her transition, Peace Pilgrim walked over 25,000 miles back and forth across this country. Why? To spread her message that encapsulated was, this is the way of peace. Overcome evil with good, falsehood with truth, and hatred with love. What have we got there? 3, 6, 9 words. Overcome evil with good, 10 words. Overcome evil with good, falsehood with truth, and hatred with love. Her pilgrimage covered the entire peace picture. Peace among nations, peace among groups, and peace among individuals. And the very important inner peace, because that's where peace begins. She taught that the laws that govern the universe work for good as soon as we obey them. Isn't that interesting? As soon as we obey them. We talk about that a lot in our classes. I've never used the word obey, but she did. The good in every human life always makes it possible for us to obey these laws. The goodness in every life, that which is within all of us, waiting to break through to our conscious realization, makes it possible for us to obey these universal laws. We do have free will about this, and therefore how soon we obey and therefore find harmony, both within ourselves and within the world, is up to us. Familiar words, isn't it? Once again, someone who speaks in a general sense that attracts an audience of a very general background, saying words that really ring bells for us. To me, that's pretty practical wisdom. And to follow that with, but first, choose peace, opens new avenues of possibilities for everyone. Well, there's no doubt that we live in a complicated, fast-moving, external world in the 21st century. Sometimes we just have to wonder where it all came from. And then we remember the words of the 20th century spiritual genius Ernest Shirley Holmes, we are cause to our own effect. And our monkey minds, that personal egotist objects loudly, saying, I didn't create this world. I don't even understand my cell phone, let alone this whole amped up world. Well, that's 99.99% true. You didn't personally create it. I didn't personally create it. Even Apple didn't create all of it. But the collective consciousness surfaces, once again, an absolutely clear example that we are all one. I admit, you're welcome to if you choose, that like most of the rest of the human race, I dream of, I pray for, and I praise afterward the newer, better, life-supporting tools, functions, tastes, and convenient gadgets to make my life easier, to make our lives easier. Inevitably, you see, we are one of the entire universal song. Sing this song today and every day. I choose peace. And so it is.